Hey guys, I'm gonna do a new drawing. It's gonna be pen and ink, and it's gonna be a tough looking Bengal tiger. This is an 11 by 14 inch, 90-pound cold press. That's what I almost always use. And then we're gonna use the Precise. This is a V7. So that's pretty much all we're gonna use. And I really took my time sketching this out and mapping it out because, you know, with the pen, you can't erase. So it's got to be done right the first time. And I'm pretty much going to be stippling, hatching, cross hatching like usual, using a few different techniques to kind of go black to white and grayscale because that's all I have to work with. So for dark black, I'm gonna just scribble it in solid. For the mid-tones and the grays, I'll probably use hatching and stippling dots, and then I'll change the density of the dots and scratches to give me darker and lighter. Less density obviously will make it lighter, and more density of marks will make it darker. And then I will leave parts of it white for that negative space to give me the bright highlight points. So yeah, I'm gonna time lapse this. I got everything set up and hopefully it ends up being a cool video. All right, so now that it's blacked out, the next steps are going to be kind of transitioning into detail. So for real short, fine, stiff hairs, I'm going to use stippling, which is just a pattern of dots and varying dot densities to create shadowing and shading. So light areas, I'm going to have low density of dots like this, and then darker areas to imply shadows on those small, stiff little hairs, like on this nose muzzle area. Will have a higher density like this, and that will create that illusion of shadow on those small hairs. And then as I work up into the head and the cheeks, these longer hairs, I will focus on, just a lot of tedious, quick movements with the pen with real light pressure to blend those edges in and give the illusion and look of many hairs and kind of soften all those edges up. And that will really bring it to life, those two things. And then in the eyes, I may lighten up, these irises here, leave the pupils super dark and the edges real dark, and then kind of, try to lighten up these areas and try to add, a little bit of highlight like that and some subtlety there. And then I think once that's all in, you'll kind of see it really come to life. We'll add all the detail and the whiskers and things like that, and we'll see where we are at that point. But I'd really like to be able to pull it off with just a super detailed face so that all the focus is on that. So that's kind of what's going to be going on from the rest of this video, is just adding those detailed longer hairs and blending out these solid black edges, highlighting, and then using this stippling for smaller, shorter hairs, defining these edges. And then at that point, we'll kind of evaluate it and see if it looks awesome, then we'll wrap it up. And if it needs more, then we'll give it more. So I'm just going to keep it simple and stay patient and take my time with it. And that's kind of the name of the game with this pen and ink, is being patient and not rushing anything, because we don't want to make any mistakes, because then it's all for nothing. So just gonna tediously chip away here and let it come to life. So this is the fun part. Now, once you wrap up the muzzle and the stippling part and get those tiny little hairs done, then you start working up into the face where the hairs will be longer. So I'm going to start feathering out these edges and really blending them and softening those edges up so they look natural, and adding longer hairs. I pretty much just scribbled to fill these in, quickly, but you can see in the act of scribbling, you can create these little tiny bumps. And then I'm just going to extend off those bumps and work off all of those little variations, and that will create a natural tight flow, hopefully, if I do it right. But really lightly, quickly, and that should give the effect we want. And then once we work up through the face, then I'll go in and get on these whiskers and really make sure that that's accurate. I'm going to add, I got a little bit more to do here, but pretty much this muzzle area is essentially wrapped up. All right, guys, I think at this point, it's time to step back and start looking at it as a whole and seeing how we like it at this stage. It's I'm not quite achieving what I want out of it. And I just want to show you, when you're doing fur and trying to make realistic type animal coats, at least with ink, I've found that the way you successfully do that is by creating edges like this, right in this area that I'm circling. The key when you're making fur lifelike, with the ink at least, when you only have black and white options, I've found, is to really blend out those edges so that there are no solid defined edges. See, this is a successful blend in this area. And an unsuccessful blend, I would say, is right below it here. You see how there's still a defined line here, and it's not blended the way that this line is and this line is. If you're doing this and it's not looking real, it's all about soft edges and blending. Like here, the muzzle is successful, I believe, as a whole so far, because these dots in the stippling, there's good blends. It's mapped out correctly. It's solid. The eyes are decent. I wish I would have added more highlight here, but you can't really go back. But when you're adding the longer fur in this next stage, successful blending like this and broken edges are what's going to bring it together. So, you know, I don't know, I was kind of struggling with that here on this one, as I do with every drawing. There's always these adjustments that you need to make, and I just wanted to share that real quick. So yeah, definitely think about that whenever you're doing animal furs or any type of hair and fur. Break up that edge and it'll help a lot. We kind of have the entire concept mapped out now. And this is at the point where I wasn't sure how I was going to handle this, because I didn't know if I was going to add some body to add depth, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm really going to focus on the realism and keep it just this face, because I think it'll be a more powerful image. If I add body, I think I'll pull from the face, which is what I want this to be, a fierce, focused looking tiger. So in defining these cheeks and mane, I'm going to have to add some darkness to clear up those edges and give me contrast. And in doing so, I'm going to add width to the face. So it's a pro-con. How important is the contrast versus adding that extra width? Will that extra width give too much dimension and mess up the overall feel of it? So that may play in. If it is too wide, I'll add a little length to the ears and this fluff to try to balance that out. I think I've done what I can do here with this one. But yeah, I think this came out pretty cool. I hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I always love to see the feedback. I try to answer the comments every morning. And give me a thumbs up if you don't mind, because I know that really helps with the search. And it's showing up in, you know, on the sidebar. And you know, check out my website if you're interested. And yeah, I'll try to do some more videos like this. I hope, you know, the brief interruptions and me kind of explaining what I was doing helped a little bit, and you could pull a trick or two out for your own work. Thanks again so much. I really appreciate you guys. It's such a cool feeling to see interest on your end and get the feedback. So yeah, it's a Bengal tiger in ink. I will see you guys later. Have a great one, and on the next video.